As we continue the trigonometry portion of our Math 30-1 preview, we're going to develop trigonometric reasoning, noting that it is expected that students will solve problems using the 6 trigonometric ratios for angles expressed in radians and degrees. Now, the first reaction some of you are probably having here is, whoa, what do you mean 6 trigonometric ratios? Because up to this point we know cosine, we know sine, and we know tangent. Well, there are 3 more primary trigonometric ratios. If we think back to our circle, or our right triangle here, we have, for a given angle, we'll call it theta, an opposite side, an adjacent side, and the hypotenuse. Remember, the hypotenuse is always the one opposite the right angle. Now the rest, whether they're opposite or adjacent, depends on which corner you're pulling the angle from. When you draw your angle arc, the hypotenuse, as we said, is the one opposite the right angle. It's also going to be the longest side. The adjacent side will be the other side your angle arc touches. It connects the hypotenuse to the adjacent side. That's the side adjacent or next to the angle. And then the opposite side is the one that does not make contact with the angle arc. That's the one way out here on the other side of the triangle. And all of our ratios are done in relation to this. You may have heard the mnemonic SOHCAHTOA. The TOA is mispronounced deliberately to remember that there's an A there, because the sine of our angle is the opposite over the hypotenuse. The cosine of our angle is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And the tan of our angle is the opposite over the adjacent. Well, we have 6 sides, or we have 3 sides in a triangle. The order matters here. Right? Whether the opposite is on top or the bottom is relevant. That means we actually have 6 combinations. We could also have a combination where we have the hypotenuse over the opposite, or the hypotenuse over the adjacent, or the adjacent over the opposite. Now these are all defined. That is the cosecant, the secant, and the cotangent. So this, in a nutshell, will be what we're dealing with. So again, the cosecant, the secant, and the cotangent. Now let's keep in mind that when we're looking at these, we can group them in pairs. The sine and cosecant use the same variables in the other order. The cosine and the secant, same variables, different order. The tangent and the cotangent, same variables, different order. And each of these pairings has only one trig ratio that starts with co. It's easiest to associate cotangent and tangent because they both have the word tangent in them. But how do we remember whether sine goes with cosecant or secant? If you don't want to just remember the definitions, a good mnemonic that helped me when I was a student was remembering in each pair only one of them starts with co. So the cosine goes with secant, and the cosecant goes with sine. So these are our 6 trigonometric ratios. And we're going to be dealing with these in much more detail when we get into Math 30-1 And when we get into solving problems with them, those problems are not going to be dramatically different, at least not at first, from the problems that we solved in previous math courses with the others. When we get into trigonometric identities, things are going to be changing. But that's not part of topic 3.